we've got Lewis with us today. The only way I can describe him is a sneaker reseller on steroids. So this guy, just for a little bit of context, is doing like 50 pairs of shoes a day that are going out of his front door. You've got a bit of a, I'd say, a glamorous background. You've started in Yeezys, like with turtle doves, and you're now at the point where you're also involved in personal shopping with like Rolexes, Birkins, like Hermes Birkins, for anyone who doesn't know. And you're talking about items that can be worth six figures quite easily. And
yeah.
So his story is insane, and he also does like insane sort of sneaker reselling as well, talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds like in one order. So if you want to sort of grow, you've got any interest in that, which anyone in this audience should do, then this is going to be the perfect pod. But I also have something to add as well. So guys, dusty crepes, right? Lewis commented on these, battered Air Force. But if you've watched the pod, all I ever do is wear Air Force, and anyone in real life knows this as well. And Lewis kindly, very kindly, gifted me a pair of the Air Force Supremes, my size, and it's the first gift I've ever had on the pod. So big thank you, mate. Really
Absolute
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And he also got my missus a pair, which you didn't have to do. Like, super nice. Really appreciate it.
No worries, Tom.
We spoke about this, didn't we? Said like something like that, like a small gesture goes a massively long way.
Yeah, I mean, they're fairly inexpensive now. If you think...
What are they now?
I think they're just trading just over retail, so about 140 quid.
Yep.
So it's not too bad at all. But your first impression is the lasting impression. So you've got to... When you meet someone, when you start a conversation with somebody, your first impression is the thing that they're going to carry through the relationship. If for instance, we got off on the wrong foot, this would never have happened. However, a small gesture like that sort of gets you off on the right foot.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be honest, it's nice as well. I mean, I've had people gift me things in the past, and that it's sort of like there's a good intent straight away. It
reflects good on your characters, doesn't it?
Of course, and it's sort of it makes such a difference, and it's sort of it makes for a good, long-lasting relationship going forward. And
so me and you met. So this goes back into like your personal shopping. Like, so we stayed in contact for ages now. And the reason being, so I got ages ago. The wallet. I've got the.
It was the Nego LV.
Is that
wallet.
it over there? Is that my wallet on there or not?
It was the little duck, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I've got the Nego wallet.
Right, okay.
So the matching one. So I think it was LV Manchester.
Right.
They only got like a couple of them in, and one of my friends he got the LV Air Force, like he's VIP there. He basically said like, do you want any of this collection? It's gonna sell out. 100%. And then like, so those wallets never even hit the public retail. They were gone beforehand. I tried to get two of them. I could only get one. But I got the coin pouch as well. And I remember at the time, like I can't remember what the retail was. Do you know what the retail was on that?
I think they were 550.
550. So and I think when I was looking on like StockX, they were maybe like 800 or 900. And then as like by the time I actually received it, price had come down.
Oh yeah, because there was a wait for it, wasn't there? Things took almost 3 months.
Yeah, it took ages. And then I had it sat in the cupboard upstairs, and then like we were just digging through stuff, and I was like fucking hell, like, I forgot that I even had this. And then whacked it on eBay. Then you came and picked it up, and then that's sort of where I learned more about what you do.
Yeah, of course.
And we just kept it going from there.
No, definitely.
So let's actually, if you can, start with that piece. So obviously we've sort of said you do sneaker reselling, and we'll go into that massively. But on that side, with the personal shopping side, so what is it that you've got? What's the business, and how did it end up with you basically coming to mine to buy that?
I would say that I'm just a piece of a puzzle. In theory, I'm just the person that provides the product in the middle of a transaction. So I only tend to work with companies, you see, just because there's a lot more security in it. And I don't get sort of, I can never get scammed. It's sort of like there's a lot of security in it. My friend actually brought me to my first company that she was working for a few 5 or 6 years ago now. And what she did is she just basically said that I'd been reselling sneakers for a long time, and that's something that they sort of saw where they saw a niche in their business where they wanted to explore further, because they were already doing bits, and they had a couple of suppliers that were sort of not so great. So what happened is they onboarded me. I won't name the name of the company, but they onboarded me as a sort of a trustworthy individual selling them legitimate sneakers. And then how that's so their business model now is sort of they are direct to client.
Yep.
So the conversation is between the client and the company.
Yep.
And they outsource.
So like someone like you.
They outsource, to resellers, who are sort of verified by themselves. So it's a very small pocket of people that actually get the chance to work with the companies because they've got to be trusted and verified. So what happens is client messages company asking for a particular product, whether it's a bag, shoe, or whatnot, and then they then basically send me an identical message. Sometimes I even get forwarded messages saying, can you get X, Y, and Z? What's the cost? I then provide my cost with my margin. The company then adds their margin to the end user, and then the user pays the end fee with everybody's sort of margin incorporated, plus the taxes and shipping. And so that's so what would have happened is sort of with an Ego duck wallet, it was it was a really nice little piece.
It was such a unique piece.
It was, and it had like LV made on it. It was lovely.
We'll try and flash an image up here of what it was.
No, it was a really, really nice piece. So I got it was literally that it was the same day that I messaged you actually, because I couldn't find it anywhere. And then it was so I got a request for that, and I had several other items in the collection. But there was two pieces that were literally nowhere. But the coin purse, you were literally the only person. The only person that I knew, or that I could see with it, because was it on eBay?
Yeah.
Right, so it was on eBay, right?
So I just mindlessly put it on eBay and just felt like, because when I found it, I was just like, well, there's no good it's sitting here.
No,
I might
of
as well
course.
just get some money out of it. But what's really interesting, that listing was on eBay for ages, right?
Oh, was it?
And I had...
Did it expire a few times?
Yeah, I had no interest in it.
Right, okay.
No interest. Then around that period where you messaged me, I had like maybe... I'd probably say around about 5 or 6 people asked for that piece. Yeah. And it'd been like nothing. And then all at once it came, because even after we sold, because we did cash. We didn't, I think the listing stayed up. Like I just forgot to take it off. And then I was still getting messages, and then I was like, shit, I need to take this down.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I mean, that was an incredibly rare piece. I was actually, I'd searched probably 3 or 4 hours prior to messaging you and finding it on eBay. I never typically use eBay because, previously in the past, I've bought things and I've been sort of done over by them. Yeah, but now I know the authenticity guarantee on some stuff like sneakers now, but it's not usually something that I'll even look at as a sort of a source for product. Yeah. Because I've got my WhatsApp groups and whatnot for sourcing decent sort of high end products. But yeah, it was once you said that you had it and you were local as well, because I was only sort of like 40, 50 minutes down the road. I was like, easy. Exactly. And then I sent a picture to the individual that worked for the company, and she was absolutely made up that we got it so quick. So it was absolutely amazing. And then obviously, now here we are.
No, well, hopefully it's now actually being put to use.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how sort of the other half live, but a coin purse, why are you going to need that?
Yeah, and it was like the only way you could actually wear it. It was like a clasp, wasn't it? That you would let's say on your jeans, like like a clip. Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird way. It's just like a completely unnecessary flex.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but I think some of the other pieces that were in that collection, there was did you see the key pole? That it was like a drip on the right. Yeah, I mean, they're still about now, and there was like a denim version of that as well. But yeah, there was some crazy leather jacket pieces that are literally nowhere still to this day. I think they would have just been offered to the VVIPs, and then people tend to wear the sort of the ready to wear stuff anyway. So it's not something that many people sort of tend to resell. If you're being offered a piece that's 30,000-40,000 quid, most people want to wear it
Yeah.
just to flex.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Well, so on that, like, so actually, before we get into everything, so we'll talk about like your background. So how did you get into reselling? What was that step?
So,
Did you go to uni as well?
no, I sort of my education stopped at college. And to be honest, through school, I was always the disruptive child. My concentration's always been sort of very minimal. I think I've probably got ADHD.
Yeah.
So I sort of got through school. College, I did a lot better because I'd taken a couple of years out and gone back to college. I was working. I think I was working in I was working in Morrison's, and I just realised that just wasn't for me. So I went back into the education system. And then after college, I was like, I don't want to go to uni. I need to start earning some money.
Yeah.
So from college, I got a job working at the council in Trafford, and then working with benefits, sort of benefit assessment, paying people's council tax. Just giving additional support to people. And then I hadn't even really thought of making any additional income at this time. And that took me to about sort of 21 years old. And then I used to basically spend exactly what I earned within a week or two.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessary. It was more sort of like a need to earn more.
Yep.
And I'd got sort of fairly bored with the work that I was doing as the benefit assessment. But what had happened is I was sort of contacted by an agency and for jobs in London. And what they were doing is sort of contacting people that they'd previously had on the books because I'd signed up with them a while before. And they offered me a 6-month contract in Enfield in London. And when I saw the pay, I was like, yeah, right, 100. That's 3-4 times what I'm earning now a week. So I was just like, yeah, right, I'm gone. So within like the space of 3 or 4 weeks, I'd sort of like packed a one-way ticket to London on my own. Didn't know anyone. And then, from there, it was sort of like once London's a very expensive place just to sort of live and eat and for your accommodation. And it was just sort of like once you started earning a reasonable amount of money, it was just sort of like there's so much more I can do if I've got more. And that's when I sort of started looking into sort of like side incomes and
side hustles.
And the very first time I was looking at reselling, I think it was like the original Ultra Boost.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And it was like a caged top, but it was like the new Boost foam at the bottom.
Yeah, the groundbreaking. But like, I remember when they first came out, like, and I remember having my first pair of Ultra Boosts, like, and
I used to ruin them. I had like 10, 20 pairs of them in different colours, and they were absolutely great.
Yeah, mine because they were always. I remember like mine, I wore them into the ground. Like the white foam was yellow.
That's it. Yeah, they did. They weathered really badly. And what happened is there was a bit of hype on sort of like some of the groups that I was in because I was interested in sneakers anyway.
Yeah.
So I was in a load of Facebook groups at the time, like Sneaker Myth and like Yeezy Talk Worldwide, and you know the ones.
If anyone remembers all of these, like big shout out to you because you've been in the game for a while,
for a long time. Even the Soul Supplier, they've been around absolutely ages now. But I remember in the community that people were talking about this all white Ultra Boost. And I was like, right, are these going to be releasing anywhere near me now in London?
I've just had a massive throwback to that because I remember exactly what you're on about.
And
I've not thought of that for years.
It was like that. It was uncaged. There was an uncaged version of this Ultra Boost coming out. And I remember sneakers and stuff in Shoreditch.
Yeah.
We're going to be launching them. And I'd found out all this information and I was like, do I just go like before work? Because people were sort of going to be camping from sort of 4, 5 a.m. I thought, right, I'll just go. Because I was on flexi time at my new job. I could start work at 10. So I gave myself a little bit of time during the morning. And I waited outside the store. And they came out. It was absolutely crazy. They came out and said that Adidas have now told us that they've changed the release date. And we were all like,
What, they told you this on the morning off?
on the morning
Because
off.
surely they would have known that the inventory hadn't landed.
It had. The inventory had landed. So they had the stock
They
downstairs.
couldn't sell it.
And then they were literally in conversations with Adidas that morning and basically said that we cannot sell anybody here these shoes today. And I was just like, you're kidding. Anyway. And we wait another hour because the manager came out and the manager came out and basically said to us, right, I'm going to see what we can do. And there was still probably about 10, 12 of us there at that point because a lot of people had just gone. Anyway, he came to it and he was like, right, for the people that are here, we can give you one pair each. And it was like, right, okay. And there was an abundance of sizes. They had sort of like 40, 50 pairs in stock. And I remember I was just like, well, what size do I get now? And it was like, so I went and got like a men's UK8 and that was like my first trophy shoe.
Yeah.
And then I remember putting it on Gumtree that evening after sort of like getting back after work. And it was like, because nowhere else had released because they'd pushed it back. This was now like a 450 quid shoe. Yeah. And there was a couple on eBay, obviously from the people that had sort of stayed and waited. And within sort of 2 hours, I had someone collecting the shoes, and I'd made sort of good 300 quid on profit on one shoe.
That was your first.
That was my first ever pair.
Same with me, and like we were just talking about it before, where because you got in before me with like the Yeezy hype.
Yeah.
So you was Turtle Doves with yours.
Yep.
Pirate Blacks were mine, but I remember I did 450 on my first pair of Pirate Blacks. Like, and it was like, but like it's just like for you, like, and probably for me, it was that same light bulb moment where 100%. It's like there is more to this. Like when you can make that amount that easily.
100%. It's so addictive as well because all you're thinking about is when's the next one. Yeah. So at that point, it was like a light bulb had gone off in my head. At that point, it was that evening made 300 quid. That same night, I was back on sort of all the sites looking for when the next releases were, what I thought was going to do well, and it really just grew from there. And
that for me, that I was the exact same. Like it at that point, like that for me, that Yeezy golden era consumed my life.
Oh,
like
100%.
It was all I was bothered about. Like
100%. And
I remember like my family, like, and this is going to sound bad, but this is like how serious it got. Like, so like the night before a Yeezy release, I would be up 24 hours. I wouldn't sleep that night just because of anxiety, because I was like that nervous about,
100%.
I knew what opportunity was in front of me, and it was like, I need to make sure it works. So I was setting up bots or like making sure that like, speaking to the group of guys that I work with, is like, have any updates been done? Is there any changes? Is there anything we need to do? Like, and I couldn't sleep. I would be up all night. And then I remember like, I would have my mom, my girlfriend at the time, like on a laptop, my mom on a laptop. And like, I would just be like if my girlfriend like asked me a question, like, or like was, after I'd give her, do you know, like the instructions of what to do? So like, we were talking about this where it's like, we could generate a special link to bypass. So I would give all the step-by-step instructions. And then if there was like a question that at that moment, because I was so like hyper-focused that I thought was an inkling maybe dumb or unnecessary, I would be snapping.
No,
of course, it was because like the pressure was that high.
Of course.
Because the amount of money that you could generate in like an hour window, it was like, there cannot be any, like, there's no room to slip here.
100%.
Like,
no, and you know what? You put so much time in it beforehand as well.
Exactly.
Because what had happened, I think on a few occasions as well, what had happened with Adidas, they changed like sort of anti-bot just before the release. So you'd done all this prep work the night before and stuff. And then 5 minutes before the release, they're throwing a complete curveball, and all your prep has just gone to absolute shit.
And that's where like the massive like, and then like for us, it was then let's say if I had access to, like at that point there wasn't that many bots around.
But no, there's only a few on there.
I maybe had like maybe 3. Like remember the group I was in. So the group like similar to Aftermarket now. Yeah. I was in one of the first ones that ever launched that was based in the US. But the guy who was in that launched his own Adidas bot. Right. And this thing was insane. It was like sort of like no one really knew about it. It wasn't mass marketed. Yeah. And so do you remember the Bape Adidas NMDs?
Oh god, yeah. There's 2 colours. There's the black camo and then there's normal camo.
The black camo ones. Yeah. I managed to with his bot, I managed to cart 40 pairs of them, and the stock was incredibly low.
I know that was less.
It was hundreds. It was in the hundreds.
It was like 400 or 500.
Yeah,
it was super limited.
So that's it. Like, and that's it because I was like, I thought because I I think it was around 400 because I remember thinking I've got 10% supply here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And but the Adidas site, because that was when it was in a cart, so it was like a cart hold for 30 minutes. Adidas checkout flow completely froze, so I had to watch the timer tick down on 40 pairs and couldn't do anything about it.
Do you know how many times though? You know, there was always what I found is sort of later on in the Yeezy sort of era. Every time you put stuff into your cart, you get like a PayPal payment loop, and there's oh god.
Spilled it. What a fail. That's going to be on the pod. Carry on.
There was a PayPal payment loop and you couldn't get out of it once you were in it. So there was many a time when I've carted like a zebra. Do you remember do you remember the original zebras?
Yeah, I got one pair.
Right. So,
and another Nike bot, A and B, sat at the gym, laptop running at the side of me, and then all I seen was like green button, the green like thing, check out. And then I got that pair. I think what was retail then? Was it 130 or 150?
150. Yeah.
150. So that was it. 150. Got them. Took the train down to Euston. In Euston station, met a guy, sold them for 1,150. Jumped back on the train. It was like a clean grand profit. And I was like, what?
I've got a story about that actually. I just got with my partner, my fiance now, and. She didn't really understand what I did on the side. It was just sort of like, oh, you've just got like shoes coming in constantly. And there was no sort of, she knew I was doing well from it, but she didn't really understand it. Anyway, I was at hers and I was like, I've got to be up super early in the morning. I need to set up and do whatnot. And that original Zebra release, we got 4 pairs.
Wow.
But I'd said to her the night before, we'll go to Ibiza opening parties if I can land some pairs of these. And then within like 20 minutes of me having those, and it was sort of like, back then you'd get like a sort of a dispatch email quite quickly within the same day. And as soon as I had all 4 of those, it was just sort of like, right, there you go. There's a nice 3,000-4,000 quid. And it's just like, oh my God.
And that was it. I always used to do that. Like, it was like, right, if I get this, like,
I can do this.
Like, I'm going to do this. Like, and 100%. That was it because like, for me at that point, I must have been like 17, 18. And it was just like the money coming in. It was like none of my friends, like, but they would see it. But then I'd be like, right, I'm going to show you how to do it. No interest. And for me, it was just baffling.
I know. But some people just aren't motivated by the money at all. They just want an easy life. On
that as well. So I just want to go back to it. Do you remember on the payment loop?
Yeah.
Did you ever find any ways to get around that?
No, I mean, see, I wasn't so much in the botting community at all. So it was sort of like everything that I was doing was a manual process, which was so frustrating because I did know of I had friends that were using bots, but I wasn't really interested in doing that. I was just more interested in.
Did you ever hear about the sock jig?
No.
So there's like stuff with like
where you put a pair of socks in your basket and you could basically just
it would allow the order to go through.
Oh, that's
and like there was other stuff as well, like you could tinker with your postcode, so you could. I can't remember how it was exactly, but you could slightly tinker with your postcode, and for some reason that would allow it to go through as well. It would pull you out of the loop, but it was one of those things where it wasn't a hard and fast rule, and it was like sometimes it worked, sometimes it wasn't. But that payment loop was excruciating.
Oh, honestly, I've lost hundreds of pairs in those payment loops, and even when so it got to a stage where I was buying carts off people, and I was paying 10, 20, depending on the shoe, because I mean. I remember after the Zebra release, there was the semi-frozen yellow, and they were ultra, like they were so hard to come by. It was unfathomable.
I got 8 pairs of them.
Did you? Yeah. See, I was my I think my cart fee for one of those was between 50 and 100 quid because I think there was only 2,500 pairs.
Yeah. So do you remember how I don't know if they did a first release. So do you remember how the release for Adidas confirmed? If you remember.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And so.
Oh my God. I remember the first confirmed app because I was in London anyway.
Yeah. But
what I was doing was getting my mum, my dad, and my brother to download the app, and then there was a spoof location jig. So what they would enter for me every single time, and I'd get all my friends to do it as well.
That's what I did. So I was at uni in York at the time.
Yeah.
Got all my flatmates, jigged all of their locations, but then we also had the image early. We found someone who leaked the image. So we knew exactly what was coming up. So basically I was sat there with them and said, look, this is what's going to happen. So this image is what to expect. Just don't think, don't read the question, just press. And then immediately confirm.
See, the thing is, I didn't have that prior knowledge. I don't think we, even with the location spoof, because you had to be in London to get them, didn't you? So I don't think I got any pairs through the Confirmed app ever. But again, like now it's a complete contrast because I literally get nothing for retail. So it's just sort of,
so that's like an interesting point. So for anyone watching, you are a huge reseller, but...
Oh, yeah, huge, yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Yes, definitely, mate. You've just been talking about deals that are, I'm not going to say the numbers, but like 6-figure deals.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like for most people that are starting out, they're thinking about selling the first 1 or 2 pairs.
No, that's very
true.
Yeah,
you're like, you are the on steroids.
Yeah, no, I suppose, no, definitely.
But you're not buying anything for retail, are you? So let's...
Yeah, so
think about that.
I find now, because I was saying to you before, I'm so time poor, even to the extent now where my missus contacts my family to arrange things because I don't reply to people. It's ridiculous, but if you open my WhatsApp in a day, if somebody's messaged me in the morning and I'm getting back to them or sort of it's the afternoon, there could be 100 chats.
Yeah.
If you're at the bottom, I'm only looking at the first few.
That's what happens to me all the time.
Like, things get lost constantly, and it's sort of like, and then you will realize 2 or 3 weeks down the line that I've not replied to my aunt for a month, and she's asking me when I can meet. So literally, my partner now sorts everything out because I only have one focus now, and that's literally businesses. And what I was saying is just I don't have any time. So what happens is now there's shoes these days. There's only a very small margin on top of a lot of the shoes anyway, especially like your Dunks and your sort of some of your Jordan 4s are trading for sort of a reasonable amount over the top. But I just don't see the benefit in the sort of the trying to get it for retail for the small increment I'm having to pay extra. To buy the shoe on the secondary market. I don't see the value of me losing a couple of hours of a morning when if you worked out my hourly rate, I would charge an absolute extortionate amount. It's not worth my time. So I will then just go across the groups on my WhatsApp groups, and anything that I do need, I'll just pay a small premium on top and then get it delivered to me sort of within the next day anyway.
That is.
Yeah, 100%.
But why is it that you can do that? Because for most resellers, they can only make money if they're buying it at retail.
Yeah, 100%. So it's taken absolute years. It started off, like I said, with just having an interest in shoes and sort of buying my first pair of shoes, and it sort of escalated extremely quickly. From selling Ultra Boost to Yeezys, and then, like I said, what happened during that time is that I built so many relationships with people that were doing the very similar thing. A lot of the people now I've got shops, own several big businesses. It's all about the relationships that you've built during sort of your time of reselling. And what happens then is you get added into sort of like legitimate WhatsApp buying groups, but it's all through the connections that you've made, and they take years and years and years to formulate. And you know what? Trust is the biggest factor in any business.
You've got a great example of this later, haven't you?
100%.
With something that we've touched on that.
Definitely. And the thing is, if I'm not a trustworthy individual, and say for instance, in the groups that I'm in, you're expected to ship the item the same day or the next day. There's sort of like an unbroken code of sort of how you go about your business.
Have you ever had anyone? Because I remember back in the days, just when Yeezy started popping off, like when let's say general public were flooding in.
Yeah.
People sending out, like, do you remember the Yeezy box? Not double boxing with just like a postage label.
I've got a story for you actually. Not only have I had just Royal Mail labels slapped on top of a box with a bit of sellotape with over the flap, where you pull the sellotape off and it ruins the whole box. And I can't resell that shoe anymore. I've been scammed so many times, and my dad still laughs about this to this day. I was buying like shoes, just to make 10, 20 pounds on.
This is when you first started?
Yeah, in the early days. And I was sent some Ringos in a Yeezy box. You know, the Golden Wonders crisps. Someone had just filled a Yeezy box with a load of Golden Wonders. It was like a 6-pack of onion rings. And I opened the box. But back in the day, I was wise to people that were scamming anyway. So, you know the weight of a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Like, I've sent thousands of pairs of shoes out, and I know what a shoe should weigh. It's about 2 kg.
Yeah.
So I picked this box up, and it was featherweight, and I was like, that looks like the right shape, but there's absolutely nothing in this box. So I'd already started, because PayPal cases, I was throwing PayPal cases sort of giving PayPal reason to investigate sellers and all sorts all the time at that point, because I was getting sent fakes, which were really bad. I was getting sent trying to be scammed. So what I was doing is I was actually recording me unboxing.
Yep.
As proof that what I was being sent.
I used to record me boxing when I was
100%. And I would do both.
Yeah.
Just to protect myself, and also make sure that had anyone have sort of tried to rip me off, that there was a complete comeback through the PayPal.
Yeah.
And a PayPal don't even cover you anymore.
Do they not?
No, I don't think they accept reselling.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Do you remember? It was about a year ago. They changed the terms and conditions, and I don't think a resold pair of shoes now is covered with their protection. But I used to have to, like you say, record me boxing and then record things coming in, because there was so many scams going on. But yeah, going back to just forming relationships, and sort of the WhatsApp groups that we're in now. I would say that there's only sort of 4 or 5 groups in the WhatsApp groups. They're all business want to buys, business want to sells, and all those people are procured. You either have to get in through somebody that's already in the group. Yeah, it's almost like a referral process, just like some of the some big businesses do with like gyms and all that sort of stuff. You know, like super high end gyms. Yeah, so it is a complete referral. And what happens in that is, if something happens with somebody that you've sort of prompted to go in the group, what happens is the admin will have a word with you regarding the individual that you said was okay to come in. Yeah. They'll get blocked, never allowed in the group again. So it's sort of, it constantly cleans itself. Anything happens that's untoward or anything,
that's things. And when you're dealing with it at that sort of high level, no one would even chance it, because they know they're just cutting off a revenue stream.
100%. There's no benefit whatsoever to scam anyone in these groups.
It's a one-time thing.
Yeah, exactly. One chance and you're out. And there is literally no second chance, unless there's been a miscommunication and something can be explained. You're out of there, and you're out of there for good.
Yeah. So where now? So on that, when we was talking about normal resellers, they've got to buy for retail to be able to make their money. Mm-hmm. You don't have to.
No.
Who are your clients? Who are you selling to?
So one avenue that we do now is we sell to the Middle East, but we've actually got stores that buy from us directly, reselling stores. What the first store that sort of approached us was somebody I actually sold zebras to originally, and we'd sort of built up a bond and a connection just from me selling sort of 10, 20 pairs to him occasionally. And sort of down the line, through the years, that's just increased tenfold to what we're doing now. And once he started opening up stores, I was his go-to because the trust was there. I mean, I was at that time, I was sort of driving to Leeds with sort of 20, 30 pairs in the car, meeting him at his flat. And then, so I was, there's a lot of legwork that goes in sort of prior to sort of a good relationship forming. And he's always paid me on time. And it's just like, it's sort of like, I appreciate him, but he also appreciates that the work that we do. And there's an absolute trust. It's sort of like these days, he's the individual that sort of gives us a lot of repeat business. And it's sort of like around 10,000 quid a week. We get sort of payments from him. And what we do is we just, we use that £10,000 to get him sort of 11, 12,000 quid's worth of product. And then my IOU with him is just slowly increases. So I just, all the money that he gives me, I just recycle and repeat. It's just so just and then we've got an outstanding balance, and he sends me periodically chunks of money just to clear that down. But it's really, really good.
Good system.
Incredible.
But it can only work something like that if you've got a really good relationship.
Yeah, and that's it's so imperative that it's, like I said to you before, trust is the biggest thing in business.
Yeah.
If you're trustworthy and you're reliable, people will continually use you until you break that trust. Yeah. And at the point the trust is broken, whether you've been dealing with someone for 7 to 10 years, it's so hard to regain that it's just, you could lose. I mean, right now I could lose my whole business based on one bad transaction. And it's just, that's why. And
so on that, you've got a good example of that, haven't you? What we talked about with that recent scam for was it Travis's?
Oh my God, yeah. So because I buy so much bulk, we've got quite a few people that just sell us enormous amounts. So you can range from a few hundred pairs to, I think the most we've ever done is like 450, 500 pairs of a specific shoe. So it was like 18 months ago now. So when the Fragment Travis Jordan 1 Low dropped, I've been having a discussion with a bulk seller for a while about sort of pricing, and that I needed it was 50 pairs that we got from him on as a second deal, but prior to that we'd actually bought a good 30-40 pairs, but via a different source.
So when you saying, so this guy, so he had an original source that you'd went through, like that he'd sort of sourced from, and then that was all legit. So, in that sense, do you know what that source was?
No, well, I know that a lot of the time, places like Soulbox, in Germany, Overkill and all places like that, it tends to be places overseas that see an absolutely enormous amount of backdooring. Yeah.
On that, do you remember the Soulbox Ultra Boost?
Yeah, 100.
They were one of my favourite pairs.
Grey.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
They were so good.
You know what? I never bought them for myself.
I didn't, but
because they were like 700.
Yeah, they were the most expensive,
ever.
Because Adidas were doing they were going to each store, weren't
they?
And doing like a collab
with the stores. Yeah.
Sorry to throw you off.
No, it's fine. So I knew at a point where my stock was coming from directly, and then I found out later on that the second load of stuff that we got from it, all the first pairs came in, and I was selling them for great amounts of money. But because buying in bulk, obviously, if you're buying an absolutely extortionate amount, what people will do is give you a much better price per unit, because you're buying so much in quantity. So I was getting, I think I was getting the Travis Jordan 1 Lows for about 820 quid.
Yep.
So they came to me sort of like a week after launch, and at that point they were at absolute peak. I think they were selling for like 1,300 quid at the time. So I was clearing like 500 quid on like 30, 40 pairs. So that was a really good few days. And then we went back.
Yep.
Obviously we'd cleared out what a store had or, through his multiple sources. We'd gone back and I wanted 50 pairs at this time because I thought, right, there you go, 500 quid a pair. I'll have a little bit of that. And times 50, that's a really nice amount of money.
Yeah. 25,000
quid just straight away, yeah. Anyway, that really bit me on the arse. So the supply changed to a Thailand-based individual. And when the shoes were shipped after I'd made payment, they were stuck at DHL customs for a couple of days. So suspicion started to arise because all I could see is shipment on hold, and it was being scanned every day. So I contacted the individual I bought them from. It's like, what's going on here? And he was like, don't worry, it should be fine. Anyway, email started to come through because I was the recipient of the shipment, and they were all in German. But it was the customs department for can't remember where Leipzig, I think, in Germany. So I was getting emails direct from them. So all the emails that were coming through were in German. So I was Google translating them all, and basically They had seized the shipment, and it wasn't just my goods on this shipment. It was a very close friend of mine. He had around 25,000 quid's worth of stuff on it. The actual individual that had facilitated the whole order, he had sort of 30,000 quid's worth of stuff on it. I had my 42,000 quid's worth of stuff on it. And then there was a couple of other individuals that had sort of like their first bulk deals with this guy, to the tune of sort of 20,000 quid. So there was a good 100,000 quid's worth of stuff that had been seized. So yeah, I was getting these emails, and basically what they were telling me, in short, was that they were having to verify the contents of the shipment, and they've contacted Nike directly and basically sent them all of the imagery from all of the shoes. I think they must have sent thousands of photos for each pair of shoes, for them to verify whether the shoes were legitimate or not. So at this time, I'd already pre-sold all of my shipment because I'd got a really good return. I just thought, these are going to come in 10 days. I'll get rid of them quickly while the price is still at a really reasonable. I'll give them a little bit of discount because they're buying so many. So there was 2 stores in the UK that were buying them from me, and we'd got the money, and I'd reinvested the money elsewhere. And then it got to about sort of 2 weeks after the shipment had been seized, and I realised quite quickly that this really wasn't looking good. We've potentially been scammed, and I started speaking to my close friend, and it was just like, what do we do at this point? The issue is the individual that sold us the shoes could have just done a runner. For a six-figure amount, he could have just literally disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah. And would I have blamed him? Like, that's a lot to take on, because it's been his mistake by sort of outsourcing it from elsewhere, that he didn't really understand truly whether the shoes were legitimate or not.
On that, why do you think he changed?
I think honestly, what I think happened is he got drawn to the money. And this person probably had an abundance of pairs, which at that time, because the fragments were so they were a rare pair of shoes. If somebody's saying that they've got a few hundred pairs of something, you're instantly going to be drawn to it. Yeah. And it's sort of like, I think he followed the money
and didn't do the appropriate due
diligence. I don't think he did the due diligence at all. So that really.
You said, didn't you? You told me before, the woman who Thailand.
Yeah. So what's happened now with it is, so we're still receiving payments back from the individual that actually sold us the shoe, because all the shoes got destroyed on site in Leipzig. So yeah, that took from the October to basically the end of January, where I got notification that everything was being destroyed because they were unauthentic, counterfeit and unauthentic. And it was just sort of like, at that point, I was just like, I was a mess. I really was. It was a lot of money to me at the time. And it was like, we were in the process of moving, buying a house and everything else, and sort of 42,000 quid, especially when I've reinvested the money elsewhere. Yeah. I've now got to refund people on top of that. So I'm actually out a lot more money than just the £42,000 at that exact point. And at that point, it was just like, what do I do? This could literally cripple me here. But the individual actually started paying us the money back, thankfully, and he's now pursuing the individual that sort of sold him the counterfeit goods in Thailand. I believe that she's got a travel ban now. She's not able. I don't know whether she's actually in China or whether she's in Thailand, but she's not. She's got a travel ban. I've seen all the paperwork for it. And recently, when she's actually tried leaving the country, she was actually stopped by the authorities and she wasn't actually allowed to leave. So
I wouldn't think that stuff like selling trainers could go that deep.
No, I know, exactly. But I think the problem with her is that she'd actually, this wasn't a one-time thing. He wasn't the only person that she'd done. So you're probably talking hundreds of thousands of quid's worth of stuff. And now there's a pending court case sort of like waiting for, and hopefully try and recover some of the money, because the individual that I bought from, I genuinely feel sorry for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's now paying everything out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
To me, my good friend, and then he's paid off quite a few people actually. There was a 17-year-old whose dad lent him the money for his first bulk deal.
So how's he? Is he carried on reselling to be able to pay
Right.
himself?
So yeah. So what's happened is right now he's sort of mixing cash and stock.
Right.
So he's buying an extraordinary amount of stock from reliable sources, and he's sort of selling a good 90% of it and keeping 10% of that stock back as profit and offering me shoes. Yeah. Occasionally when he's getting like VAT refunds and whatnot, he's then sending me a few £1,000 in cash, and it's sort of slowly recovering, but it's taken a good 18 months to get to a point now where it's only like there's like a £14,000 debt, but it could have all been lost. I wouldn't expect someone to run off, but I can see that could have caused somebody just to go ghost.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, didn't you say like that person, like their whole life has changed now?
Oh yeah, I mean they've gone from living in a house in London to now living in sort of a shared house, and just occupying one room within that.
Yeah, like a bed share.
I've seen the photo of the room that he's now living in. He's as long as it, and it's about 6 feet wide. Yeah. And I'm thinking but credit where it's due, he's done the right thing. Yeah. Even though that's been an incredibly hard decision for him to make.
This is the thing about like sort of the trust and stuff. Like you had to take a hit and refund the stores that you pre-sold to. Like you like to keep all of those relationships good. There's like you can't question it, can you?
100% no.
Because like let's say for example, if like do you still do business with that guy now or not?
To be honest, I personally wouldn't use him again apart from sort of recovering my money. Not that the trust is broken. I just his price is now crazy. But yeah, so I would
for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to recover himself, and I totally understand it. But he's trying to charge me the same price, and I'm like, no chance, mate. Like, I need it at cost. But I respect him. I genuinely respect sort of the way he's gone about dealing with the problem. My partner has a different view because of the stress it caused within the household and everything else, because it was such a big amount of money. But yeah, I mean, I respect the guy. I don't think I'd ever use him again. It's one that's just going to go by the wayside, I think. Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's like touch on the sneaker stuff. So, but you've like, so Lewis will send me like through WhatsApp some like nice pieces. So you sent me like the Tiffany Air Force, like before there was leaked images. Like, like you get your hands on stuff, like, and through your contacts, you can see stuff super early and get that insider view. But I remember, I want to talk to you about the Air Jordan 1s, the Virgil ones. Yeah. So let's explain those, what they were.
Yeah, Jordan, which ones?
The signed ones.
Oh my
signed
God,
Virgil ones.
God. So yeah, they weren't directly my pair, but I had recently in a signed pair of Virgil Jordan 1 Chicago's.
And that's the original.
The original.
I remember that really, like the release method for those shoes was insane.
Oh, yeah.
I got, me and my missus at the time, got every single pair.
But that.
It
was the 10, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like, and I remember there was like there was like a basketball shoe with like, it was called the Foam or something. They were awful.
Yeah, they were really bad then.
Yeah, they were absolutely awful. But yeah.
We got as well on that. This is super interesting. So we, my girlfriend at the time, so she was size 3.5.
Yeah.
And
myth of a size ever.
Yeah. I remember getting them in Yeezys, make like a grand on
the show. 100%.
I would always like, it was like base size.
That's my business now. Still women's sizes. Yeah.
So what I was doing, so when we was there, they did, it was like the first set of them, they did like, do you know, like a workshop? And like, so like they made to do like a t-shirt 100%. And shit like that. But then it got to the end and it was sort of like, you've got your Prestos and they said the size were on his size like 4 up to whatever that went up to in men's. Yeah. And she was like, oh, well, I'm a 3.5. And then he was like, all right, well, we don't have any. And then like, she tried the 4 on, didn't fit. She was never. They were always going to be resold. But
of course.
She had to try them on in front of them.
Of course,
and
yeah.
They went in the back and they went like, "We're not. I don't think we're supposed to sell these. We've got one pair of 3.5s in." And then we managed to get them. Like, they give them to her, and I made a killing on that pair because it was like the only
pair. This is the thing. I mean, even now in limited shoes, you've got to think that the majority of people are a size between 7 and 10.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, obviously it goes like a wave almost of how they produce the sizes. Yeah. So the smaller the size, the less production in those sizes. And my whole business now is basically, especially the personal shopping, is smaller size shoes, because it's a lot of the women that tend to buy the shoe sizing. But going back to the shoes. But going back to the Virgil stuff, it was a friend that bought the pair originally on the resale market for around 1,000 quid, I think. And then he got a notification from one of his close friends that works in a store that Virgil was going to be in the Nike shop, and that he could get him in straight into the front of the queue.
Yep.
So he's walked straight in and had him try and sign a few pairs of things, and Virgil apparently has gone to him straight away. Are you going to be reselling these?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm only do one for you. So he was like, yeah, just sign the pair of Chicago's.
Yeah.
So recently we had that pair come into us.
Still got tags on them.
Yeah, brand new.
Box fresh.
Yeah, box fresh. The thing is with the Chicago's and a few of the other off-white shoes is they start to discolour.
I was just going to say that about there's yellow in, isn't there?
So what happens is if they're not kept in a certain environment, especially the older Jordan.
Isn't it to do with moisture?
Yeah, I think it is. So a lot of the white sort of on the top of the shoe and the side of the shoe, it starts to go off like an offer yellow. I think so we had that and we shipped that off to Dubai. And I think that was valued with Sotheby's at about 75,000 quid.
Fucking hell.
I know.
And to be valued by Sotheby's as well. Bought for $1,000.
So it's a little bit of time spent in like sort of getting it signed and everything. He's died and now it's worth 75,000 quid. Absolutely insane, isn't it?
Like, you wouldn't think, buy $1,000, like a signature, wait a few years, the history of the shoe skyrockets.
100%.
75 grand.
And he dies. He dies, doesn't he?
Yeah. And that obviously that sent. I remember it happened with who's the US? Was it Kobe that died in there?
I've got a story about that actually.
Was he him that died?
Kobe Bryant, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember watching. We were all sat when that happened, like in our Discord, watching the sales volume on StockX, and it was just like.
It's crazy. I had a client that came to me. About 2 weeks after the death of the helicopter crash, asking for something bespoke. So they wanted a signed Kobe jersey. And obviously things had gone up like 700-800% like 2 weeks later. And the people were just buying anything with his name on it at this point. Anyway, we managed to locate a signed jersey. And then what we did is in acrylic, we got, it was a birthday present for, I think, the client's son. We got the client's son's name in acrylic on the side of it. It was a beautiful piece, framed, everything. It was a really, really nice piece. I think if I'm right, that was about 12,000 quid.
And pre that
3. Yeah. Framed the lot, like full works, 3,000 quid. So it had gone up astronomical. There was a good margin in it as well at that point. But yeah, there's so many. So I think when people die now, especially Virgil, do you remember? Did you know the off-white lots, the dunks?
Yeah.
They did 1 of 50. I remember, just as you said with the Kobe, like the Grinches and everything went crazy. The off-white lots, I remember, were £300 for the UK ones because they only launched like 8 in the UK. They did 8 in Japan, 8 in the US. And lot 1 and lot 50 were everywhere. And it was like the white pair and the black pair. Do you remember? So I remember looking on StockX that day of his death, and things had gone from 300 to like some sizes being 2,500 quid. But I had at that point started buying everything. Like I was online, I was buying any size. Yeah. up to a point and like buying 2 or 3 of a pair, of a certain size, until the next sort of lowest ask was £1,000.
Yeah.
And I was buying them all, and we made so much money because the hype for about a month after that was incredible because people just wanted one piece.
Yeah.
And things like those Off-White Jordan ones had reached about £10,000.
Yeah.
They've gone down a lot now, they reached every pair that he ever made went to like literally crazy amounts. Yeah, 100%.
I've just remembered like some of my Off-White pieces that I forgot that I had.
Yeah.
Like that I've got at home. I've got the Prestos as well.
Oh, the Off-White Prestos.
I've got not Prestos, the Vapor Max.
Oh,
I forgot about
black
the Vapor
or
Max. No, the navy blue that released with the white. Wasn't it the black ones first?
Yeah.
And then it came with a navy pack, and was it navy and white?
They did a white. Yeah, I remember the white one. I can't remember the name. I do. I do. Yeah, they weren't as dark as the black, but they were still really dark. Really dark.
Still dark. Yeah.
No, I do remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I remember you just talking about the sort of getting stuff early as well. There's a few releases. What tends to happen is retailers get stock way before an actual release date. You're talking weeks beforehand.
Yep.
So all it takes is a connection within the building to sort of like start siphoning off a few pairs at a time. And about 2 weeks before the Tiffany Nike Air Force dropped, I think we had a pair come in. I sent you the photos, didn't I? I wasn't here. I wasn't in the UK, but I had my friend who sorts all my shipping out whilst I'm away. He had them in, and he was flexing on his Instagram.
Yeah, they were nice then.
But they were really nice. Originally what had happened is the pre-sale prices was around £6,000.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely crazy.
So on that Tiffany's as well, like you've seen them earlier. I remember when so you might have heard about this, like End Clothing.
Yeah.
You used to be able to place orders. So there was a way of placing orders through the website.
In the back.
But on the back end.
So
the warehouse team just didn't give a fuck.
No.
So I remember it was the Adidas NMD, the Japan pack. There was quite a bit hype around
with the little writing on the little side sticker. Yeah.
And then quite a bit hype around them. And I had 9 pairs arrive, all in one box from End. It even would have been one per person, but the warehouse team didn't care. One big box,
100%.
9 pairs came, and it was like maybe like a week before release date or a few days. Like it was just like
100%. And you know what? Even up until recently, there's a few people that can get me back end stuff via Nike.
Yep.
And it's sort of like, and it really helps. If it might be sold out on the website, you might not be able to see the product on the website, but it's loaded back end, and there is as long as, like I said, as long as the workers in the warehouse don't care.
Yeah.
As long as it gets through to sort of the order confirmation and it gets to warehouse, you're absolutely laughing because there's no care from them. They're just doing a job. They're packing the box.
Yeah, not bothered.
No.
Did you see that guy who did like how many pairs was it? Was it 750 pairs of Tiffany Air Force?
Oh, I know. Yeah. Absolutely insane. Just think about the margin. I wonder whether he sold it at sort of like £2,000 at its peak after launch, or whether it was sort of like, because they're about £1,000 now, I think. Yeah, and then
I've seen one going. I've not actively monitored them recently, but I seen one on like Facebook, like by chance, and it was like maybe 700-800.
Yeah,
like,
they did drop. So as with a lot of releases, what happens is say something releases on a Friday, Saturday, if you've got that pair in hand, astronomical. You can literally charge what you want for that shoe because people are waiting for the online orders to drop in for the price to absolutely plummet. And then sort of by mid the following week, you've got the lowest price at which that shoe or that item is going to be, because what happens is you get the people that want the completely quick flip to sort of like...
We always used to say it was like the people who borrowed money off the parents and need to pay them back as quick as possible.
100%. Yeah. And they will make the absolute minimum amount of money just to flip the cash and reuse it. And like you say, pay the parents back.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I think pairs did reach around the £700 mark, sort of mid the following week once pairs were coming in from Nike and stuff, and then it's slowly creeping back up because I think the pairs are reaching about sort of 1,100 now. So, did you see the blue pair, the friends and family pair that came out as well?
Is it Haaland, the football?
Yeah, Haaland. Yeah. So they were trading around 10 to 15,000 quid. And now I think they're about 4,500
Have you had any
quid.
of them come through? Or any
No, not
artists
friends
from-
and family. I think the price point really puts people off, especially when the other ones, the sort of the general release ones, were actually fairly nice. I think I think the blue is a little bit too loud on the friends and family pair. It's a very acquired taste.
Yeah, it's noisy in it. Like
100%. You've got to be wearing an all black fit for that or something just for them just to pop. But yeah.
So on the sort of like, we covered loads of trainer stuff, but I'm interested in all the other side of the personal shopping that you do.
Of course.
So how the high end market for luxury goods, like we're talking Birkins, Rolexes, how does that world work for who we would class as the super rich?
Yeah, so for the super rich, I think it's fairly easy obtainable. They will have previous spend with Hermes.
That's one of the prerequisites.
So it's very much like the Rolex model in terms of like you can't just go into the store and request something that's absolutely crazy. There's got to be purchase history. Then there's got to be a relationship that's formed. I think with Hermes, they expect you to even to be put on to create a wish list. You have to have spent £3,000 to £5,000 just on accessories, whether that's belts, sandals, just all the smaller leather items. And at that point, what will happen is you'll be asked to create a wish list, sort of. So what will happen then is you'll be asked to sort of like, what's your preference in hardware, whether that's gold, platinum, diamond, or, So, and then what will happen is you'll be asked what sort of leather you want. And then also a color. So there's sort of like, there's loads of different variations, and there's thousands of different variations of the Hermes bags. And then a particular size and model. So I'd say like a Kelly 25. What will happen then is you will then still have to keep spending. What will happen then is over a period of time, you'll get contacted by your AD, and you'll be offered a bag. Mm-hmm. It may be absolutely nothing that you've put on your wish list. It may be the
complete opposite.
It could literally be, and it could be the most obscene color you've ever seen. It could be sort of bright turquoise. Some people like it, and not gold hardware or anything else. And if you don't accept the goods at that point and pay the price that they're asking you, I mean, the retails are at least sort of 5,000 quid and up for some of these bags.
Where do these sort of top out?
Retail, I mean, you can get a Hack, which is typically a men's bag, and they're 18,000 quid just retail.
What about like going into like the luxurious?
Like literally, you can name a price. Say a Himalayan croc, you're probably talking sort of 50 to 75,000, depending on the size of the bag as well.
So let's say hypothetically, me, I've got 15 grand that I want to get a bag with, and then what I've described that I want, like that's going to fall in with that 15 grand. But then they say, right, well, this one's available and it's 60 grand, and I'm like, well, I can't afford that. Are they still going to treat you the same?
So what will happen is, typically it's sort of like when you go into Rolex, they'll give you a date just first, and you sort of you build up. They're only going to give you something small to start off with.
Got it.
Something that's not, I wouldn't say of lower value. I won't say minimum value because they're crazy, but much lower value. And you will steadily build up a rapport with the AD, and then
this is go back to the core message that runs through every
business is
relationship.
100%, yeah. And also the AD wants to know basically that you're not just a reseller, because they hate the thought of the product just being bought to be resold. Mm-hmm. However, like if you are offered something that you haven't asked for, you're still expected to buy it. I think it's difficult in that instance for people, the first bag that they've received from Hermes, whether it's something they want or not, that I think they will keep it regardless. It's sentimental. It's more sentimental than anything else. And I think at that point you're expected to, like we discussed earlier, I think you're expected almost to bring that in at your next consultation, your next appointment, to show that you haven't just tried to make a little bit of money on the first bag that you've
actually
received.
have an affinity to the brand.
100%. And sort of at that point, as you start to build a collection, that's when you see the sort of the ultra rich actually selling pieces back onto the market, or whether, say, 3 years down the line, the first bag that they were ever given, they didn't like it so much anymore, and there is no sentimental value. People will just they will sell that to make some money because they've got ample amount of other bags to go in with.
What's the craziest bag that you've had?
Oh, well, the things I like aren't the craziest things I like. So we've had some sort of we've had croc in. Ostrich is actually the nicest leather for me personally, but and to be honest, the highest value isn't crazy. You're talking like 30,000 quid.
Was that croc?
That was like almost like a patent sort of croc look with gold hardware. That was really nice. But the things that sell in an abundance are the men's little pouches. I don't know whether you've seen them. Deppy seen.
So I've not seen like Hermes' version of them. I've seen I know what you mean both with like Goyard and like those.
Yeah, they're very similar, but they're very slim. They're very flat.
Yeah. Are they actually branded them? Because I can't even think what they look like.
No, I'll show you. I'll show you later. But they're very thin. It's basically for your wallet and your phone, and it's just a little pouch. They're fairly small, like size 25. You can get them in all sorts of colours, and you can also get them in loads of different hardware. So what happens is a male, that might be something that they give to you as a sort of an introductory into the brand before you start getting your hacks and other male sort of accessories and stuff.
So again, that's not something that you can just purchase.
Oh no, the thing is, I don't think, apart from some of the footwear and fragrances, I don't think there's many things that you can just walk into Hermes and just buy without sort of.
The only thing that I've been able to get, that I've ever tried to get, bracelet, got my missus like an Hermes beret.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like,
there aren't many. I mean, you can get the sandals.
Yeah.
But last year in particular, there was a few sandals that was so hard to come by that they were reselling for almost like 1,500 quid a time. Some of the lesser models, you can just walk in and sort of, like say in Harrods, you can just go and purchase just a £600 pair of sandals, which is absolutely crazy. But there is very little that they can offer you at the point you like sort of that the relationship has to be formed in order for you to sort of get the luxury goods that you want.
It's a crazy business model, really. Isn't
it?
It's
like Rolex do it, don't
they?
They it's sort of like they'll give you something sort of like a date just in a smaller size, like a 36 or something, and then by buying that, you're allowed to be put on 2 wait lists for something like a sports model, like a GMT or something, and then after that, you're allowed like a Daytona, and then it goes and Daytona to a day and all that sort of thing. So it's a crazy business model, but their intention is just for you to spend as much as possible. Like Rolex do it with like, is it Hublot? They want you to spend sort of a lot of money on the lesser watches, even though they're still very expensive acquisition.
Is it Tudor that Rolex are partner?
It might be, yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some. I don't know. I might be chatting waffle there, but I'm sure there's something where it may be Tudor that Rolex do something with.
But there's an expectation of like you to sort of get in a big buying history with them before that they see you as sort of fit to buy X. It's absolutely crazy, and I think now Rolex do it, Hermes do it, and I don't know how many other brands that do it, but I think it's a model that most people will start to adopt because
it encourages brand loyalty, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And that's the thing. There's no like, I'm not going to say I know for definite, but I bet like Hermes with the bags, like if they wanted to, they could probably ramp up production like 100%, tomorrow.
100%.
But they keep that supply so restricted.
Of course.
And because then it's when you get it, it's like that feeling of like that dopamine hit when you got that bag. Like,
of course,
it will create that sentimental value that you just talked about, that even if they don't like it, they're still going to keep it.
100%. And I think, I think that more and more people will adopt it because you're actually getting more sales for all the stuff that is much harder to sell. And it's sort of like our Rolex AD was telling us that sort of was trying to push me to buy watches that I had absolutely no interest in. And I know that I couldn't even sell that on the resale market at retail. I would be taking a 50% hit just to basically build a history to acquire something that I actually wanted. When if I want a watch now, it's just like, I might as well just pay over on the actual watch I want from a reseller. Because the amount of money I'm actually going to have to spend in store to acquire that, it'll balance itself out over time anyway. So, yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? How it's worked. So we've covered sort of your reselling, sneakers, luxury goods, but you're recently going into a new field, aren't you?
Yeah. So we've just started a business that's AI based. So what the concept is, it's an AI summarization tool of long form content. So the premise is get sort of a lot of long form content. The premise is long form content into short form content, whether that books, PDF, articles, you name it. It could be literature for university, anything else. And what the AI tool will do is it will take that long form content. It concisely sort of critical summary of the information that you would require out of that piece of information, and it will play it back to you in either audio or sort of text form that you could just either read on transport or whatnot. But the idea is people commuting, sort of there's going to be an offline version. If people are commuting and they've got a 15-minute travel time, they'll be able to upload their documentation or a book or a PDF. They'll be able to sort of, with their parameters, change how long they want that form to be condensed into. And then what they'll do is they'll set, like, say, 15 minutes, that's their travel time. They'll be able to then listen to that in audio during their commute to work, and they'll have, say, a 300-page document into something that is super, super easily and accessible to them.
And for me, that's like, it's madness, because I said to you, like, I don't understand how you could take something that like could be so like so many strong messages throughout a 300-page book.
Yeah, of course.
And that will know how to pinpoint and pull out those and relay those back to you within such a short form.
I think we're going to have to work on sort of an absolute minimum of sort of how. I don't think things shouldn't be over condensed. I think there should be a minimum time. Well, it's not something we've actually discussed yet, but I think for an audio, anything less than 3 minutes, you're not going to get the message across from the documentation or whatever you input into it to get the feedback. Whereas sort of the longer you sort of stretch your parameters, if you wanted, say, 30 minutes of audio while you're driving or whatever, you'll get so much more detailed information out of that, because you're not just getting the absolute key points, you're getting a little bit more in depth.
You'll ever expand it to a point where you don't have to upload your own documents, like you've got a catalogue on there?
Yeah, so the idea is as soon as we launch, we're going to have loads of pre-condensed content, like sort of like we've talked about, like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
How? So let's say Rich Dad Poor Dad, for example. So with you guys having that on there, are they not going to have to pay? Like, let's say if you've got it on there because, let's say, the author isn't going to be happy if his book sales are going down.
No, however, I'll explain the business model. So what we're going to do is we're only offering short form content. So when you click on that and you've basically set your parameters to say, I want 10 minutes of that book in super concise summarization, we're going to offer at that point, obviously we'll add an affiliate link, but a direct purchase option for the long form content as well, if they enjoyed what they've actually sort of had within a small snippet.
Are you doing that affiliate with Amazon?
Yeah, we'll be.
Have you ever tried Amazon affiliates before?
No, never.
It is a hell of a game.
Is it?
It's horrific. Like, that is like if you get it set up, you'll make so much money on it because you know how it works, and as well.
Yeah.
So and for anyone watching, like this is like super valuable.
Yeah.
So if you got that affiliate set up,
Yeah.
someone goes and buys that through your link. They just because the cookies will stay on the page.
Yeah.
So any product that they buy over the next 30 days on Amazon, you'll get an affiliate commission for,
regardless of what it is.
regardless. But my business partners had affiliate commissions on dildos. And that's it. Like, and it's just like, well, what? Like, because we're buying product, like that's for people buying products to sell on Amazon.
Yeah.
But then you see people's like shopping and like random bits. You're also you don't get the same set fee as the initial purchase.
Yeah, of course.
So maybe like 1%.
It's like 1%. I've seen that
like
before.
that racks up to a horrific number.
No, I bet it does. Yeah. So there's definitely going to be quite a few different income
ways of monetizing it.
100%, as well as the subscription to be on the platform itself.
Well, I feel like this, like, because to anyone probably watching this, and to even me, this is wildly astray from anything you've done in the past.
Oh, 100%. And you know what? It goes back to relationships. So what's happened previous? So the way that we've formulated a team to do this is we've got a developer, we've got a coder. The lads actually do a bit of both. And then we've got sort of a marketed sort of expert as well. Those relationships have been formed through sneaker reselling.
Yep.
So we've one of the guys I'm working is a competitor.
Right, okay.
And works with a lot of the same people I do in terms of the companies that I work with. But we had a rocky start to our relationship, but he's a really, really nice guy. And we've sort of built a really good relationship. And then what's happened is his company's tenfold the size of my company. And they have a lot of software and development guys on their side. And we sort of just like, they've got good relationships with this guy also. And it's sort of, we just sort of curated a team.
Synergy
Yeah. So my role within the business is more sort of like creative.
Yep.
So yeah,
I feel like this is the perfect example. Like we mentioned earlier, about you were saying about like you would never doubt yourself now, because when you've started like you've done your first business,
100%.
or like for us when we started in reselling, once you've done that, you're not afraid to try anything.
No,
and that is the perfect example because you're going from reselling trainers to AI.
100%, and it's complete contrast. It's the other end of the spectrum. And the thing is, like I was saying to you before, there's nothing that I feel I can't do now.
Yeah.
Whether that's if somebody came to me with an opportunity, and I thought I could add value, I would 100% jump sort of straight into the deep end with it, because I just feel that there's no point for me not trying something now. I don't think there isn't anything I would try. There's nothing that I wouldn't try, because it all goes back to I've just got a figure in my head of how much I want to be earning, and once I reach that, and I'll reach it this year at some point, it will just be a new figure. And if other people can enable me to do that,
when you say a new figure, you mean there'll be a new goal?
Yeah, 100%.
That's exactly like what with me. It's always been like when I'll get to this level, I'm going to be happy there.
Yeah, I know, but you never are.
You're not.
And like what I was saying to you before, it's sort of like as the more income that you get in, the more you spend.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like my living, my day-to-day expenses now are astronomical.
Yeah.
And for me to maintain that, I have got to work, and I've got to work hard. And it's sort of like, I know as I increase my income, my expenses are just gonna
go with it.
Yeah, go up tenfold.
It's hand in hand, isn't it?
100%. But the thing is, you want more, don't you?
Yeah.
And you start seeing nicer things, and it's sort of like you go from a sort of a 3-bed, a semi-detached house to.
And yeah, on this guy's, his house is incredible. It's incredible. So yeah, and it's but it's like a sort of a trophy of your success, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because when we had to do to obtain the house, I had to sort the books out for the like previous years and everything else, and it's sort of we had to pay ourselves a lot of money in order to get that house.
I'm gonna talk to you about this off camera, but I will run into some issues. I know that for sure.
So previously, for the first couple of years of business, what me and my partner were doing, because I put me and my partner are both directors of the company, and we pay ourselves wages just because it works out better that way for us. So we were paying ourselves a minimum amount of money. However, on a mortgage application, that doesn't do you any favors whatsoever. So knowing we wanted to move and everything else, we had to sort of, for a few years, we had to sort of really pay an enormous amount of tax. And sort of suffer short term for a long term gain. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work.
I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me now, it's not even that I'm thinking about like I'm gonna have to save for the for like get a deposit together. But it's also thinking about the tax implication that's going to come with it. Yeah,
of course. So what actually happened is, my mortgage broker was insane, by the way. He's a really good lad as well. My friend gave me a mortgage broker in London and just said, contact this guy. He's incredible. So after discussions and discussions, he basically told me I needed to load 1 year's of the year that I was still doing the accounts for to a crazy amount to get an average over 3 years. So I think we had to put a lot of money through so that the average looked good enough to get the mortgage approved. And then, it took 2 or 3 months to get sorted. I was in contact with my accountant every day saying, can I do this? Can I do this? And then we had to pay ourselves an enormous dividend, at which we were taxed like 20,000 quid each on. And it was just like, because obviously your self-assessment tax.
Yeah.
Had to pay that. And it was just like, oh my God. But short term, it was a pain in the ass. But long term, we've got a beautiful house that's worth a lot of money now. We're having work done to it actually at the minute. I'm really, really happy that we bought that place. And it's sort of like, you can see the progression just in the houses that we've owned. We had a three bed that was like literally 800 square feet, and I couldn't move with the boxes that were coming in daily. To something that's nearly 3,000 square feet. And I've got like a galleried bloody stairs and the lot. It's just, it's a complete contrast.
It's a nice setup.
It's good. I really do like it. But it won't, I'll never sell it. I don't think we'll ever sell it. I think if we were to buy something else, even in Dubai, like I was talking to you before.
For anyone watching, you've just done a month out in Dubai, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just done a month out in Dubai. So we're getting our drive done at the minute, which is a big job. And they said it was going to take between 4 and 5 weeks. So I decided to take the family.
Take the family. That's a nice reason. A nice excuse to get
to get some sun.
Completely reasonable. The drive's been done. I'm going to go to Dubai for a month.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, because we've got a big gated drive, I wouldn't have had access to the house. So I had to sort out my logistics in the UK, and I had somebody sorting out all my parcels and everything whilst I was away. But we would have had no access to the house, so it would have been an absolute nightmare. I thought it was better to sort of, rather than rent something locally on Airbnb, it was going to cost me like 5,000 quid for a month anyway, for a similar size house that I would have needed. So I'll just spend a little bit more money. I'll just
enjoy it in the sun.
Yeah, enjoy it in the sun. Yeah, it was good.
So before we close it off, one bit of advice to anyone. So we obviously want to appeal to people that are maybe like we were, hadn't started the side hustle, wanted to, but were hesitant. Like, what's your one piece of advice to actually try and help someone pull the trigger?
I think most people are scared of failure, and I really think that people that's the stumbling block for most people. That they're scared to fail. I think the majority of people now that are looking to get into sort of reselling are a lot younger, and there's not so much risk involved. I really don't think most people haven't got anything to lose at all, because at the end of the day, they've got the parents to fall back on. They're still going to be living in a house. There's only an upside. And I just think people these days are very risk averse, and that's how people sort of become stuck in a 9 to 5. Literally becomes stuck in a 9 to 5, and it becomes very monotonous. Just by taking the first few steps to freedom at a young age will just open so many doors to you in the future.
You'll never look at it the same again.
Never. I mean, like I said, it starts off by just taking the first step, and you can only take you can only take one step at a time. And people, like I said, people are so risk averse these days. I think it just takes a certain individual to take a leap of faith and not necessarily invest a lot of money. There's so many ways you can sort of fund a first purchase or something to start yourself off. So you don't need
if you like, even if you're in the 9 to 5,
100%.
Just say,
you can put 100 quid away.
To put money away.
I know, exactly.
But then just have the money that you're putting it away to invest in something else.
It's like I said, people are so sort of, people want to finish the standard day, and then at 5 o'clock they want to go home and watch Netflix for 2 or 3 hours.
Sit on the couch with a beer.
You can do that. You can 100% do that. But if like with your platform, if you're getting notifications coming through on your phone, use that time to also keep an ear on your Netflix or whatever, but also use it to make money. You could also,
you can easily tap on your phone
100%.
Because as easy as I could come and WhatsApp you, I can purchase a product.
Exactly.
It's
it takes seconds.
Yeah.
And people just, like I said, people just need to take the first step into sort of giving themselves ultimate freedom in the future.
Great way to round it off. Thank you for coming off, mate.
Absolute pleasure.
Coming on, mate. Yeah, great podcast. And yes, I will. What we're going to do is get a load of footage as well. So I want to see some clips from you, like some nice pieces that you've had in.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll do like at the end of this, we'll do like an outro with like some of the
nice.
best pieces you've had in.
That sounds good.
All right, sick.
Amazing.
All right, cheers, guys. The next podcast, the guests have arrived, so we're going to be filming the next one in a couple of minutes. Cheers.
Amazing.